mentioned the word testing a lot in your presentation, which I've really enjoyed because, you know, core to anything innovation that we do is testing the concept with the users, seeing if it appeals, seeing what works better. Can you share a little bit more about, you know, what Share the Meal originally looked like, how you've evolved over time, and maybe also, if you don't mind, share a few of the I don't want to call it failures, but some of the assumptions that didn't turn out that you have found out through, I'm guessing, user testing.
Definitely. That's a great question, something that's really, really important to us. So when we first launched Share the Meal, it was actually a very simple app. There was literally one page or one view with a map and a button on it, donate, and then you got to the next page, you selected how much you wanted to give. After that, you see a thank you message, and that was it. It was no frills, nothing else to it. And over the course of the last 4 years, we've kept adding other features to it, as I said, to really make it more engaging, to ensure that people have something to come back to. So we added all of these subscription features. We added what else? We have camera giving, team giving. For us, this is really important that we have all these other kind of add-ons along the way. The other aspect that I would say is really important. Every new feature that we add, we do a lot of testing on. So, for example, we have been testing whether we want to have a lower entry barrier for subscriptions. At the moment, our subscriptions start at €12 or at $15 per month. We were thinking, is this something that we should reduce? Because, for example, in the UK, people are very used to giving smaller amounts on a monthly basis. And so for this reason, we're testing amongst different user groups whether a lower subscription size does make sense. We've actually seen that that's not the case because people tend to give far less, don't necessarily stay longer, but for us it was a really valid test. Another thing where we have learned something interesting was the types of campaigns that we run in the app. So until now, we've always thought that it's really important to have a very narrowly defined target. And then we launched an unrestricted fundraising campaign. So basically where you give to greatest needs around the world. And we saw that this actually didn't discourage people from giving so much. So now we always have an unrestricted campaign in addition to the more targeted fundraising appeals that we run. And that for us was also an interesting observation. But really this idea of testing different features, of testing different kind of flavors of different features is something that's ingrained both in our development process as well as in our marketing. So it applies also to our digital marketing, where we rigorously test different types of visuals or different types of video, different types of messaging to see what resonates best with the audience. Unfortunately for us, there's really a lot of data available, and the tools that we use allow us to really understand what works best for which audience.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. We love the approach. So testing and experimenting is something that isn't really common practice in the UN yet. We wish it was, but I don't think we're quite there, or not everywhere. And you mentioned Share the Meal is an initiative of the World Food Programme. Can you maybe say a few words about how you managed to convince the organization to give you that space to test and experiment with different approaches?
Yes, sure. So first of all, I think we have a certain advantage because we are actually the first and probably one of the few mobile applications within the World Food Programme. So we've also developed quite a good knowledge and quite a good experience in this area. So I think there's also a certain degree of sort of faith in what we do and understanding and the knowledge that we've built here. And we've really tried to also acquire experts in these fields to support our efforts. We have had a lot of support also from senior management, which I would say has also been very helpful. So from the beginning of Share the Meal to now, the executive director, the chief of staff are very supportive of what Share the Meal does. And I think have a really solid understanding of the necessity to test things and the value of doing so, and actually having sort of a data-driven approach to what we do. So I would say we live in a very supportive environment, and this has been very beneficial to us in our team and in the project that we're working on.